Welcome to the Solid Signal podcast for the week of September 12th, 2016. You know, there's a lot going on in the last week, and I had in mind, maybe I really ought to do my very first ever political podcast. And then I thought, okay, that's not such a great idea. And then I thought, with September 8th being the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, and I'm a well-known Star Trek fan, that I would do that. But then it seemed like that would just be kind of jumping on the bandwagon. And so I struggled and finally decided I'm going to fall back on doing a podcast about 4K television. My first taste of 4K television was 4 years ago, almost exactly to the week, because this is the week of the CEDIA Expo, and that's where I saw it. I wasn't incredibly impressed because the only thing you could really do with it was use four 1080p streams at the same time. There wasn't any 4K content at all, not even demo files to be had at that time. And I continued to be really hesitant and not terribly excited about 4K for several years after that because I asked, and I think that you have a reasonable chance of asking yourself, where's the content? Where's the 4K channels? It's not like HD where it seemed like there was a lot of demo content in HD long before I got an HD TV. You'd go to any store and you'd see it. Well, okay. 4K over-the-air broadcasting, as I've said, is very unlikely to take place in the United States. 4K is streaming on Netflix and YouTube, but frankly, I got to tell you, the quality is not anything to write home about. And so the thing that finally turned me over to where I am finally getting to be a 4K fan, and it's taken a long time, is DirecTV. The subject of this week's podcast is going to be something like DirecTV's doing all the heavy lifting in 4K because, let's be honest, they are. There are no other live TV channels in 4K. There's no other provider with a greater supply of 4K content, not Netflix, not Google, not anybody. And the 4K that comes off DirecTV is at a higher bit rate than any other 4K, and while it's not using some of the advanced compression that you see with other technologies, it's just much better looking because DirecTV's got these big old satellites in the air and they can afford to send these big chunks of data up and down, something that other providers simply cannot do. But if I were the folks at DirecTV, I'd be a little bit annoyed that I'm doing all the heavy lifting. DirecTV's got 3 channels of live 4K. One is used for pay-per-view, one for special events, and one sort of has documentaries and all the content that they can scrounge up. We know a lot of programs are being shot and edited in 4K. We know a lot of sports is being produced in 4K. But nobody's distributing it. And if I were the engineering folks at DirecTV and their LA Broadcast Center especially, I'd be a little annoyed at putting in all of this 4K infrastructure for nothing. At least nothing so far. It's very annoying to see that you're just not seeing anybody else doing it. NBC is starting to very tentatively put out some 4K with DirecTV's help. But nobody else is really doing it. All this stuff is being shot and mastered in 4K and none of it is being distributed. To date, here we are in September 2016 and not a single independent content provider has announced a live 4K station, period. And keep in mind, when we talk about the difference between announcing it and putting it on the air, that can be a year and a half. If you're looking for live 4K content, DirecTV is your only source. I mean, Netflix 4K, come on, honestly, that looks just the same as HD to me, and I've got pretty good eyes. Amazon 4K, yes, they have the highest amount of streaming 4K, but they've got a poor interface, and the quality also just isn't that different from HD. So 4K is standing squarely on the shoulders of DirecTV, and if I were them, I'd be a little torqued about it. I'd be a little torqued about all the work that you put in and the millions, possibly billions of dollars spent in sending satellites up into the sky without anybody else driving that content. Oh, it's going to come. It'll come eventually. It's never going to come to over the air. That's my strong opinion, but it'll come. In the meantime, if you want to see true 4K as it happens, get DirecTV.